They said something about never again, and then don't be a sheep. They said something about never again, and then don't be a sheep. They said something about never again, and then don't be a sheep. They said something about never again, and then don't be a sheep. Look how they turn all these songs into bombs. Watermelon, my seeds in these songs. Don't be a sheep. Look how they turn all these songs into bombs. Watermelon, my seeds in these songs. Don't be a sheep. Look how they turn all these songs into bombs. Watermelon, my seeds in these songs. Breaking spells by the end of these bars. All I see is the blood on my palms. Can't believe I was sleeping this long. Here's a pill for this rapper, get on. The demons gon' snooze the alarms. Here's a check, move this rapper along. Drown him in Henny Patron. That's when they gon' get you alone. Them diamonds, the bloodiest stones. All you black capitalists embarrassing. Celebrities, actors, and characters. Almighty kings, y'all some savages. When money hit, the thing is not the average.
Yo, what up? Welcome to How Billy Sees It. Yes, this is episode 67, I believe, and we're loving it. That was Father Venus, yo. That was Watermelon Songs by Father Venus. You gotta listen to that a few times. You probably missed a couple things in there. Motherfuckers was talking about some things, some heft, some weight. He was telling some stories. He's connecting you to shit that's going on today. He's making you think, okay? And he's spitting bars. You gotta play it twice to catch some of those. Let's get him on. I got Father Venus on today, and I'm very happy to have him. What up?
What's up? Thank you.
Man.
Appreciate you having me, Billy. Really appreciate it. Love being here with you. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great talking to you the first time in season 1. Season 2, we got a whole new look on this. Yeah. I'm feeling a great deal more comfortable out here, and I want to keep connecting with the people that I really appreciate. So we connected from online, from just seeing the things we post, and also through Tune the Fork.
Yep.
But we were gonna talk today about a number of things, but really get in and like hip hop maturity of hip hop.
Yes, I love that take there. I'm like, that was what I was thinking for the last 2 weeks. Really, a lot of that. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Would you say now? I mean, we both are rappers and artists ourselves. But would you say? I think the answer to this question depends on where you look. But do you feel a shift? I feel a shift in a number of things, but particularly in the art and the genre that I love, hip hop. I feel a shift. Do you?
Yeah, major shift. I mean, on all fronts, you know what I mean? I think the world is facing something that we haven't faced before, and or rather just like the moment is calling for something really specific, and hip hop is not escaping that moment, that question of what are you gonna do now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful way to put it, yo. What are you gonna do now? Like, I keep coming back to this thing about how to be present, how it's important. I think putting it back to yourself, like there's stuff going on, but then back to self. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna say with my voice and with my time and creativity? Right. I don't know. I feel like that. I try to get that as I come out. Man, I'm writing some new joint that I'm gonna drop hopefully in the next 2 weeks. But
need it.
Yeah, man. This always drives me, man. Like, how am I gonna use my voice? So this brings me to the Kendrick and J. Cole thing recently, right? And Drake. I guess we should add to this conversation in a way. We'll get to him, but like the way people are responding to J. Cole's apology. What do you think about that?
Man, I gotta preface all of this by saying that the only artist out of this the talk right now that I've kind of held on to, where I even listen to their music anymore, where I'm checking for it, is Kendrick. At some point, I offloaded everybody else for different reasons, and we can talk about that too. But as far as his apology, which I'm on social media, I can't help but see these things. I was I mean, it was definitely unexpected.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that was definitely a moment where I was like, even I, as a person who wants to see hip hop evolve, was very thrown off
Yeah.
by this idea that he would put out a diss track and then immediately apologize for it.
It's a bold move.
It's a bold move. It's a bold move. And
Definitely.
I do think he was moved, like I do think that he goes off of a lot of emotion, to be honest.
For sure.
So, which is not a bad thing, it's just like I could, in my view, I could see him being like, oh, this is not feeling good on my spirit. I just said this thing that was a lie, which was that Kendrick's stuff is not classic. And I'm like, yeah, you're
Exactly.
gonna have a hard time with your lying. So
I love that, and that's why as I talked about it, I did an episode about this. I think, yeah, he's in tune with himself as I see it. He's in
yeah.
tune with himself with that feeling. He connected it. By the way, everyone's full of feelings. Like these other dudes who are really
Yeah.
aggressive and come back with their thing. They're also feeling, but they just couch
Hmm.
it in a different kind of thing. But he's in tune with himself, and there's this arena that's been well financed and funded, and we corral Black America's best poets, right, to berate each other. If not for this arena, who else would want to destroy Kendrick and come up with falsehoods to make his career seem less stellar and his impact and his voice? Why would anyone need to do that if not for this
Hmm.
funded arena? So that's how I saw it. And I actually see this whole shift. I mean, even with like Andre 3000, again,
Hmm.
top three lyricists ever, totally decides a different route. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna front like I listened to the new album. Like I would
Hmm.
bump it the way I bumped The Love Below, which was just
Hmm.
amazing, classic.
Hmm.
But this speaks to the shift again.
Yeah. I mean, like, people should be allowed to change and evolve, and I'm like, it's not gonna stay the same. But back to what you said, that you said something that was really important about the paid arena. Now, I personally was just like, none of you motherfuckers have said anything about Gaza,
Correct.
right?
Right.
And now all of a sudden, there's this massive quote unquote civil war in hip hop, which we know hip hop moves globally,
Right.
right? So I'm like, I'm thinking, like you said, like, who benefits from this sudden explosion,
Yes.
of everybody wanting to come at Drake and blah, 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 like, you know, um, on top of the fact that y'all are like, I can't even, I'm like, what you're saying is not even really landing anymore, because I'm like, you're lying. You
Correct.
know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, I think it has a lot to do with whose benefit it is for this attention of rap beef or whatever now to be exploding the way that it is. So I'm like,
Abs-
there's a lot of Zionists in the music industry. So
Yep. Yep,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, because and so when people make these arguments that the battle rap is it's a major part of the foundation of hip hop,
Yeah.
I challenge that, because you know what else was a major part of the foundation of hip hop? Political rap. Political
Right.
concept, political rap about what's going on, the social condition of the rapper, and the police state, and
Hmm.
racism, and subjugation, all of these things. And so who taught us to fight for one thing and then not fight for the other? Like no one. It's completely made up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then also, like, even if we want to say like, okay, cool, there are some tenets of hip hop that we want to maintain, right? Um, Friendly banter or whatnot, like the dozens. I think that's kind of the idea, right? Where it's growing out of this, like, oh, we can kind of go
Yeah.
at each other a little bit. Um, but I still think even some of that has to be interrogated. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of things that were just like, it was cool to make fun of this or make fun of that, because we think that we're just doing this. It's just a part of our culture. You know what I mean? And I do think that there's room for that, but once once massive influence comes into play, which is hip hop, which is all these people, and massive amounts of money and resources come into
It's a
play,
different ballgame.
yeah, we're talking about something totally different, you
Don't,
know?
and it's valuable to not pretend like, oh, this is just a construction of black culture independent of all of these
Yeah,
forces that don't give a damn, yo, that are just about the money. And the interviews,
yeah.
more and more you'll see it, it's funny, I saw Ice Cube, actually, Ice Cube,
Hmm.
man, come out talking about rap beefs. I didn't even watch the whole thing. It was like a couple minutes. I watched
Yeah.
the first 30 seconds, and it blew my mind to see Ice Cube. Everybody knows where he starts from, NWA, like, but he
Right.
says, and the beefs that they had, the beefs that they popularized and made big national stuff. I mean, the Crips and the Blood stuff, all kinds of stuff. And he's
Hmm.
like, yeah, this beef stuff in hip hop, sometimes people don't take it well, and we should chill, and we should kind of like, he had a very different perspective, and
Hmm.
I think it comes from a man who, he's been in these spaces, not just in the music but also in film, in these industries now. He recognizes the power of these images, yo. And
Hmm.
I don't know how critical he'll be of his own career and stuff, but just generally I could tell he's just a different dude.
Yeah, but I'm like, people get older too, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not dealing with this type of stuff anymore, you know? And yeah, so I definitely think age plays a role
Age will do
in
it.
that as well. Yeah,
Age will do it. So yeah, but
yeah.
maturity in hip hop, it's interesting. Like we're talking about all the power that hip hop has, and the money that's flowing through it, and the way they're using influential people in specific ways to get certain ends. But
Absolutely.
how do we um, steer our own culture better? Not just in
Yeah.
terms of our sort of like the political stuff or talking about Gaza, but when I look at a lot of this, goes into gender for me. When I look at a lot of dudes,
Hmm.
okay, I feel like hip hop has set me up to think about and idealize a certain kind of man,
Hmm.
and that I should idealize that, I should hope to be that, and that I want to perform that. And we're very quick. The circles that I grew up, we talked about this a little bit. We're very
Hmm.
quick to put you back in line if you didn't fit that, if you didn't show teeth and be aggressive uh, and endure bullshit,
Hmm. Hmm.
And I just see a change happening. And I think particularly
Yeah,
from
it's like a gauntlet,
yeah,
like a patriarchal gauntlet. Like, can you make it through this with your like armor on now, you know? And like at every point we're gonna tell you when you don't have it on, or we're gonna poke it and you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's fascinating.
yeah. Even with some of the like even obviously there are artists who completely like broken through the genre stuff. I remember growing up, people were talking about who's gonna be the first gay rapper. We've broken through that.
Right.
Very successful gay rappers now. But
Hmm.
even I saw an image of like Pharrell and Tyler the Creator, and they were hanging out, and they were wearing like colorful clothing, and the pants were tight, and
Hmm.
they were, or form fitting, I should say, and they were
Hmm.
like styling it up, and people were just clowning them on them not being the masculine person that people expect them to be from their hits or whatever.
Yeah, from the 1990s too. That's I'm like it's that like you said that image because I'm like I saw this really incredible I want to say like a pastor do a sermon about how he used to wear his you know the satchel or whatever
Yeah,
10 years ago everybody called him gay and now it's like
it's
this is
totally,
just how it is,
yeah,
you know. Perception, I've been having this realization over and over again. Perception is a real motherfucker.
it's no joke. It's everything.
Like it's a very small example, right? The computer I'm on right now is one of them 16-inch MacBooks. It's big as fuck, right?
Yeah.
The last computer I had, 13-inch, I just pulled it out. I've now been on this one. It felt so small in my hand. I
Mm,
couldn't even believe it. You know what I mean? I
mm.
feel like I used to be lugging this computer around just 3 months ago. You know what I mean? And I really had this moment where I was sitting with myself like, yo, perception is wild because this it's looking like a MacBook Air right now, you know?
Yeah,
Just because I've been carrying this big ass computer around.
exactly.
Um, so
Contrast,
yeah,
perception,
perception
and
is wild.
contrast.
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
fuck with that.
Oof.
I've been thinking about that a lot. And yeah, I think we have to kind of get better at understanding that. Like people, we get upset at things,
Hmm.
um, failing to understand. You're attached to something that wasn't perfect, but as a child, maybe it was the first thing and it felt right. It felt
Right,
normalized. It felt normal. But that was
right.
only the construction of the previous generation, and like,
Yeah.
none of these
It's
things.
one book, you know what I mean? It's like when you're a kid, you're like, "Oh, I thought all books were about a rabbit and a toad or whatever." You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
it's you were given one narrative, one book. I'm like that. I mean, what's considered smells good in one country is totally different in another one, you know,
right.
and like different places. Like I think, man, I think what we're experiencing is this hip hop is no longer just this localized um space where we can just say like these are the only narratives that have existed in here. I even think about, and this is a really sad case, but I can't remember the name. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to mess it up, but a pretty egregious case of like grooming young boys and stuff, like one of the like hip hop founders. I can't
Mm,
remember who. Um but just these things of like it has always been a part of hip hop, these things that we don't like, these things that we of the people who we think are excluded from it, right?
yeah.
They've always been there. And I think we're just finally able to exist. Like it's finally large enough and not so um I don't know. I mean, it's just too big now. I think the ideas of hip hop now are just too large to be contained by one narrative, by one book, which is that like baggy pants, like you gotta
The New York kind of
pause
thing. Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
Right.
like the Wu-Tang, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. New York. We definitely hailing from Brooklyn, we started something and let it for a while. And I remember in high school and college when the South started to pop off.
Yeah,
We hated it. Whoa,
exactly.
whoa,
It
look
was
at
like,
this.
what is this music?
Exactly.
Stanky
Exactly.
leg, this and that, and then it's like
Exactly.
it's everything, you know. Yeah, absolutely. That like I said, perception, you know, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And we're so often made to be so like standoffish to things that are just unfamiliar.
Correct. Correct.
And
That's
so
all it
that just
is.
translates into that's all it is. It translates into everything that we do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like now I'm standoffish because I don't know this thing.
That's right.
As opposed to being curious and being like, oh, I'm about to learn something. I'm expanding in this moment because I don't know this thing, you
That's
know?
right. To me, I
Yeah.
find that to be the most powerful narrative that encompasses the whole thing.
Yeah.
Meaning, sometimes with this lack of this unfamiliarity manifests, or um, it presents itself in a racial challenge. Sometimes it presents itself
Mhm.
in a gender challenge. Sometimes it presents itself in a classist, a nationalist thing, but
Mhm.
or religious separation. But to simplify it, in every case, the complexity of like perception is so deep, and everyone thinks that they have this full sense of the world when they're actually in like their little bubble, and then you
Yeah.
encounter something that challenges the bubble. And I think the value is in the orientation of being inquisitive and being like
Mhm.
interested and being curious,
Yeah.
because that is reality. That is part of what is real. And so
Mhm.
back to the thing with Pharrell and Tyler, like
Right.
people misinterpret it. You project you project your weird stuff about whatever you were taught and what ways to dress and ways to be masculine, and so they're called gay. When in fact, I think these examples, same with like Club Shay Shay. You see him with the outfits, the little satchel purse or whatever he's wearing, some European carry-all, and these are people who have achieved a level of like freedom. They're just being. This is what freedom looks like, actually. And you look at it with disdain.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, I think that's literally, I think, the summary of what happens when people look at trans people. It's like, how in the fucking world are you existing in public right now? Like, you know what I mean? It's like the penultimate, like, how are you doing this right now? How are you existing so free? Because I'm fucking freaking out right now for you. You know what I mean? Right. So much so that now I might even, you know, I'm projecting, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so freaked out.
That's crazy, yo.
So yeah, it is. And like I said, it comes down to like what you were saying. We just don't have the practice of being like, I'm going to inquire about something that I don't know about. This could be a benefit to me, as opposed to being like, I'm immediately fearful and I'm immediately gonna, you know, almost like get to this space of like survival. Like, now I feel like I have to survive against this thing that I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, I think we're growing out of that.
Yeah.
I think we're growing out of that. And part of it is small things like, okay, you can wear what clothes you want to wear. And like Tyler, the Creator is bi, right? And like, it's like, so it's like when you think about those people who are like, yeah, like, dude, look at these gay niggas. Like, okay, one of them really is queer. Now what? Right. You know what I mean? Like, what was the point that you made?
Right.
Still got more money than you,
and he's living his life. He's doing exactly what he wants. He's clearly like self-oriented and I don't
knows nothing about you. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't even know you exist, and that's not like in I'm a celebrity type of way. That's for anybody, right? Like, it's like, why am I gonna think about it's hip hop is changing, and hip hop is confronting that right now. It's like it's time to expand.
Yeah.
You know, there's some really fucked up things that hip hop has reflected. It wasn't just straight up rebellious, because if it was, it'd be super queer, super trans, super femme. You know what I mean? Like, if it was really that radical, it's very reflective of the society that we're in, which, you know, for better or for worse.
Yeah, we can talk about that too with like Diddy and some of these like quote unquote early moguls that people would call moguls of the game, who were really parts of other bigger systems and kind of emulating those power structures and even those vices and problems. But before we get to that, let me jump to these comments. Yo, Sheba's on the line.
Oh, what's up, Sheba?
She's dropping comments. She says, yes, he makes you think. 4 watermelon emojis. She says, we need y'all voices. I got this. Let me put this on here. I got my I got like a soundboard thing. I got to use this more.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. Applause, man.
Yeah.
And Sheba says, does J. Cole have any cancer placements? LOL. That sounds like something.
I feel like yes.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Listen, he's a watery motherfucker.
She says, that sounds like something a Cancer moon would do. Say a mean thing to someone and then immediately apologize to them.
And then immediately be so sad you said it.
Sheba says, I'm not sure you can bump a jazz flute, but I love when artists defy people's expectations. Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sheba says, yes. Why do our best poets stay silent on something as important as Palestine? Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't even know how they, I don't know.
Yeah, Palestine for sure. But just generally, there's a general sense and a feeling that comes out in the music and in a lot of the cultural manifestations where it is fair game to gossip and talk shit and try to destroy another black man. Even on social media, I have sometimes the displeasure. Some of the people I'm connected, a lot of good people I'm connected to. I love the social media news feed that I've cultivated, but I also have cats that are quiet on Palestine, even quick to challenge me, tell me that genocide is a little bit too much and blah blah blah. But most of their social media is like black women, gays. It's like talking shit about, black women, sluts and hoes and pussies ain't smelling this, and then gays and other black men. And it's almost like it's like just a subtle awareness not to go talk over there about this thing, the political stuff, the meaningful thing that could all this stuff is controversial, but we choose our controversies. You know what I'm saying? It speaks to what you said. It was like about how hip hop was radical in many ways, and in other ways it's a reflection of the society.
Yeah, I mean, I've been shocked by the number of people that I do know in my circle or whatnot or I wouldn't say circle, but space, right? Who felt like they couldn't speak about this in any way, but could talk about this like other controversy that's random and mainstream. And obviously, like, just not as important as us focusing our attention on all the genocides that are happening right now. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to, like you said, what we've been saying. People just get into that comfort zone. This is the narrative that I have, and I'm unwilling to learn anything else. In my opinion, those mindsets are gonna be left behind, because I'm like, it's you can't evolve. You can't evolve like that. Like, this is engaging in this society's narrative is a death sentence.
Yeah,
it's not gonna work. It's not, whether you know what I mean. It hasn't worked. It's not true.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
it's
not true.
Yeah, the narrative of it's the same narrative of the founding fathers who were brilliant, like, and we have to take their words by the letter, right? Because they were so brilliant. Like, it's not reality.
These was when I think about these was sweating ass white men with wigs and lice getting weighed on by their enslaved people, like sitting here trying to discuss freedom and liberation. Like, this, you know what I mean? Like, what are we really talking about here? Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, a lot of that stuff is so in a certain way, right? Like, once you understand those perspectives, it's really difficult to play into these, like, play game things of beef and that, you know what I mean? Right. It's difficult to play the game. So that's why a lot of people choose to stay away from this idea of, like, this major, like, this is how, like, Palestine connects it all. It connects everything.
Yeah,
you know what absolutely. I mean? Even just like we said, like, there's tons of Zionists in the music industry. Like, I would bet money that this beef is partially spurred from that.
Yeah, without a doubt. The I think lots of beefs, in this particular time. So I think what Cole did, I said in a different thing that it would have been brilliant if he maybe did a track, but instead of, because apparently he only did it in 7 minutes. It was a 7-minute drill, right? And that's why it was kind of whack or whatever. But if let's say you write a real joint, but, like, be creative as fuck about it, yo. Instead of destroying J. Cole. I mean,
Jay-Z's route also.
What was that?
It was Ether. It was like your first, or not Ether.
Oh, right.
The Takeover, your first album.
He did that whole thing. Like, exactly.
It was the
lazy.
Same exact thing.
It was lazy.
And I was watching, I watched Rob Markman. I like him. I like his breakdowns. But he was talking about how, like, the art of beef, right? And you want to try to take a partial truth and expand it in your direction, you know?
Right.
Saying that Kendrick's albums weren't classics wasn't going to get you there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You need a stronger truth to hit, you know?
You need a stronger truth to expand on, you know? Okay. But he wasn't really in it. I think that's just really what it was.
Yeah. He wasn't. Let's see.
I wish that he had the courage to just have not responded at all.
Not responding because it
You know?
wasn't even a thing. What like I was saying, like just do in one of the songs on the album he dropped, just throw a bar and make it clever. Like fuck this, I don't do battles. Like whatever, I don't care about this shit. You know, there's more shit in the
It would
world.
have
You
been
know,
fun,
would have been dope. Um,
literally.
back to
Yeah, but
Sheba.
he's got some stuff to repay for with No Name
That's
anyway.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. He says nothing about her, huh? Even though
well,
there's an
I mean,
apology for Kendrick.
exactly. I'm like, are you serious? And you actually attacked her unprovoked.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, you were, yeah.
We're all complex people, and it's funny because J. Cole is definitely one of my. You know, I'm a fan. You know, I want him to rock. I like what he's ushering in. I like Dreamville. I like
Hmm.
the other people on Dreamville. I like what he's doing there. But then you see these
Hmm.
little things, you know what I'm saying? But it just reminds me again that we're all human, and we need to kind of
All
we need
human.
to nudge
All
each other
human.
though. We need to like the what you're doing is obviously there's a way to just be an asshole and try to rip them apart. I've seen some of that. I think it's important to nudge and remind the dude that yo, you have this thing. Why didn't you show any interest in reconciliation with No Name? Why use a transphobic sort of bar? You know what I'm saying
Hmm.
in that joint?
Hmm.
And he knows, like J Cole knows, you know. But these are all choices, and you know it is what it is.
100%.
I'm looking at Sheba's comments. She says, "Yes, we're taught to be so afraid and avoidant of things we don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know why. Well, I do know
Hmm.
why.
Yeah.
Because that's how they normalize and congeal the things they want to advance, and that's how you
Hmm.
dismiss and marginalize alternatives.
Yep.
So we got to grow for that. From that, hip hop is still. This is Sheba. Hip hop is still such a relatively new art form. There's no need to be like
Hmm.
this is what hip hop's always been. This is the moment
Hmm.
to let what hip hop is continue to evolve and transform. I agree.
100%.
I agree. Um, on the P Diddy joint for a second here,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
there's so many things going on. I don't know the full details there, but continuing in the refrain of like growing in hip hop, right? A lot of the critique and the big noise from the big media, black media, and Twitter has to do with the potential homosexual nature of P. Diddy's
Right.
actions. Very little to do, or
Right.
less to do with the illegality, the immorality, the pressuring, and
And like all the ways he harmed black women. It's just like no one cares about that part. Um, yeah, I've been tapped in a little bit with it. Mostly because it's huge. I think it's the first time that the Me Too movement is really hitting hip hop in a specific way. Because Cassie, I think, really set it off. At least for it to really take off in a way where he's really being held accountable now. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I think I'm more interested in seeing all the ways that like I mean just the fact that people are saying no Diddy now instead of like no homo is it's like
that's
one of the wildest
crazy.
things I've ever experienced. Like watching, I'm like, yo, is this a movie right now? Like,
I'm not
like
around
that's a
young.
pretty wild thing.
That is what I'm not around younger kids anymore, so I don't hear that. But I've heard about this, and I'm like, that's wild, yo. Because I know growing up, the amount of times people said no homo every 3 minutes,
Every
and if they're saying no Diddy, and who Diddy was growing up, I mean, it's just we're in a
ex-
everything's weird.
different. Everything's different. Like I don't want to say since Cat Williams interview, but I'm like, yo,
people been saying
something really
people been saying he opened up a vortex, yo. He opened up Twilight Zone. That's
at
so
least for
crazy.
it to, I think, similar like Gaza, right, and us opening our eyes around Sudan, around like Congo, like all of these things,
Western
but then like
Sahara.
the Western Sahara,
Hmm.
and then like the celebrity lane opened up of like here are all the people who are like bullshitters right now who are making mad money and doing nothing, and like why are we admiring these people? Like it really just attacked everything. It's been a really incredible thing to watch, right? And the No Diddy thing, especially I have a song called Pause, and I haven't even like done an official release of it. But even now, I'm like, it's almost a little bit dated now.
Right. It's no
You know what
Diddy.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I wish that I heard the No Diddy thing from kids.
You hear it from a.
I
Oh
wish
wow. Yeah.
grown ass men's
Yeah, man.
saying No Diddy now. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing. It's fascinating.
Yeah, this is something to work on. The problem is that's so deeply ingrained. Again, I would hear it multiple times a day, which it just reinforces constantly this othering. It reinforces
Hmm.
constantly this performance of a certain type of masculinity and a denial and a rejection of other humans and a real constant attempt to perform that we're not like these. I'm not saying. I think it's
Yeah.
actually silly in reverse, right? Because if you calling out no homo for something, so you're saying all these other things you said were homo, and just this one thing is not. It's just weird. Like
Yeah.
I'm just speaking. I'm not. I'm just communicating with you. I don't have this preoccupation. I'm not
Yeah.
counting my words to make sure
Yeah.
I didn't have a phallic symbol. It's weird.
Like
It's really
moment.
weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really I find it to be, and we've talked about this on the last episode, I find it to be extremely weird and extremely like
Gay?
if yeah, I'm like, if you were trying to avoid it, this is like the worst possible way, is to point out every single thing in your environment that's possibly, and not only most of it is not, but that is like you still are so occupied or preoccupied with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you think about this a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd like to see your incognito window, you know what I mean? And see what's up.
uh, that's hilarious. But that's so like that's straight up. And to go back to the
Yeah.
Cat Williams joint then, because he talked about one of the interesting things there was about men. The kind of gateway into Hollywood requires that you wear
Hmm.
dresses. And that was another
Right.
big brouhaha about that. I've heard that for a long time. I've always heard
Right.
that sort of they emasculate the black men with the dresses.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not. I know a lot of black men in Hollywood who haven't had to do that, right?
Right.
Famous men.
Right.
And again, it's hard because in order to talk about that, you have to ask a question about what's wrong with certain fabrics. Like what is when you stitch a fabric up in a certain way, how
Yeah.
does that change your chemical
Who you are.
composition, who you are?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if you put that on
Yeah.
your person.
Yeah, I don't know. I find the stuff around Hollywood interesting because I think it's a microcosm for a lot of the things that's going on. Like, sure, like this, maybe there's been moments in history where there's this concerted effort to quote, like destabilize that you some people may say emasculate. I'm saying I don't know that I don't believe in that, and but I think that this idea of destabilizing who you are,
Sure.
right? Like, do
Sure.
you know who you are? And
Mm-hmm.
like, there's, yes, certainly, but Hollywood in general, I think it's tough because I feel like there's a lot of weird stuff that goes down there. I think it's a very insular, very secretive, and I don't know. I mean, I think while the sky's the limit on the things that probably occur amongst the extremely
Hollywood
rich
elite.
and
Sure.
wealthy Hollywood elite, which Diddy was a part of for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
And they benefited off of having him in that circle,
Yeah.
for legitimacy in hip hop.
Yeah. Let's see here. She was messages here. Yes, he did. No name dirty and didn't apologize at all.
Yeah.
She even says J. Cole is maybe not a great guy. Also, quick to denigrate a black woman, play into transphobia, and put down his friend Pierre and stay silent on actual abuses in the industry.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I used to be a big fan, by the way. Like, I was fourth row at Forest Hills Drive in Madison Square Garden when he sold it out. Like, that
Yeah.
moment where he realized, I was there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I was a huge J. Cole fan, but I also, even in that concert, had a moment where I was screaming, "Don't save her. She don't want to be saved." And I was like, this nigga really, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's a fascinating. Everyone has their perspectives, you know, and but I grew out of it. That's what it
Out
was,
of
you
being a
know.
J. Cole fan?
Yeah, because I was like, you weren't speaking to my experiences the same way. Like I couldn't just listen to the music anymore because just I felt like he was tapping into a lot of what I felt like was this denigration of black women. Like there's
Yeah.
just this constant like, you know, thing that he has.
I tell you
And
what,
I
yeah,
find that yeah.
just I started rapping in 2022,
Hmm.
and I've always
That's
wanted to.
surprising.
My man, thank you. I've always wanted
Wow.
to rap. I've been doing it in high school and all
Yeah.
that, but I never put anything onto a record until
Yeah.
2022. And my default was like I started writing, and it was easy. It was easy for me to find bars about bitches. It was easy for me to start bars about gunplay, and
Yeah.
I'm not a gun enthusiast, but I know enough about the guns. I've heard enough battles that and
Hmm.
like, and there's enough history and there's enough examples in hip hop that, especially when you're first starting, part of what it is a little bit of mimicking. You're just like, you find your favorite people and you start to make sounds that are similar to the sounds that
Right.
you appreciate. And so I just want to say, like, something about J. Cole knows more than some of this stuff,
100%.
but that it's easy, and that it seems also, if he's paying attention to the money, you see how they responded to him on this apology joint. These dudes want bars, they want murder, they want blood, they want to hear the gunplay stuff, and they will reward
Hmm.
him for that. He's built a
Hmm.
fan base around that, and hip hop in the main has cultivated that he landed in. But at the same time, he was also in this other space that was a bit more conscious, but he was playing the whole thing. And
Yeah.
that's me being charitable as I try to think about what J. Cole is doing, because he's a smart brother who is trying to
Absolutely.
navigate this whole space.
I like the way that he goes about things, you know, like as far as like again, I had no problem with the apology. I think that if I were in his circle, I would have been like, just don't put the song out. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah,
there's this, but I'm not like, wow, J. Cole is less of a MC because he apologized. You know what I
of
mean?
course not.
But what I do think is like you do need some people around you to just like I'm like, y'all just don't got the people around y'all, you know. I don't know. Like, there's this insular thing that happens, um, that makes you a worse rapper, you know. Like you're out
Exactly.
of touch,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's a ton of stuff. I mean, you could, someone in the journalism space, I can say the same thing for journalism. You have to
yeah,
cultivate a circle around you that is better. I don't even know how to define that really. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, yeah.
or else you can
People who
just
challenge
be
you.
producing whatever. You're chasing clicks. You're chasing billboard, whatever, which is a different thing. It's
Hmm.
gonna pull you in a different direction.
Yeah,
Um, I just think, yeah,
yeah. I would love like I think about all the time like I don't want to be an industry rapper. I've never wanted to be. That's probably why it took me so long to even start rapping myself because I'm like none of that was ever appealing to me. But like I would love to have a conversation with J. Cole. I would love to have a conversation with Kendrick because I'm like I think you would understand. I think that you would be able to hear what I'm saying and be like not only was that bar whack about trans people, but it was just like absolutely unnecessary.
exactly.
Like it just
Exactly.
was like you know a lot clearly about trans people enough to be like I'm gonna lace this thing, you know. Um,
And about
so
humanity.
again, yeah,
You
I'm like
know.
you're like oh I'm teetering into cancel culture right now and the whole line. Like you knew what you were doing. Um, and yet here we are. I mean that's never a true like this person now is canceled anyway. I don't even know why people would be acting like you're gonna get canceled for saying anything about trans people. Like that's not gonna happen. That's
But
never happened.
this speaks to the whole thing. this is the whole thing too, though, because I've been doing this show now for maybe 2 years as well, and I've had several people on. And before I did this show, I did it on Instagram with Sheba, and we had two guests who afterwards asked us to take their stuff off because of some fear of cancellation. We said we said we're gonna have a guest on, we're gonna talk, we're gonna let it go, and they were like, I don't want that out. You know, can you pull it down? And we're like, what are you talking about? I'm not gonna say any names. I don't even want to get into the subject matter in particular. But in both cases, it wasn't anything for real. Like, but there was this looming threat of whatever cancellation in their heads for some future event, and I think that carries in people's minds. You know, again, perception, bro, perception.
Perception it's really serious. But even with like part of what you said that was important there too is like when the mic is hot, what are you saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people really gotta be able to stand by, take the mic when it's offered to you,
right,
and say something meaningful.
Something, yes.
Anything.
Say something, yeah.
Hint at it, god damn it.
The whole culture, even on social media, again, the shift is happening. I think I'm seeing so many people really intently like helping us see, showing themselves, giving us their insights. Some of them have specific insights and skills and talents, education, and sharing that on social media, which is an evolution. But to take the mic and to turn on your computer or your cell phone and tell us something. It's not about like just producing for content to, you know, to maybe get a sponsorship or whatever. It's like, engage with us, you know. I feel like the markets are like the markets of people on social media. I feel like there's a strong desire for that, for realness, for real conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think this whole year, really 2024 has been like the death of the celebrity. Like there's no more like admiration for people who you would never cross paths with. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think a lot more people are interested in like, okay, who's the local artist who's saying something, or who's the person who I can really engage with, you know? So it's an exciting time in that way.
It really is. But part of it that I'm fascinated with is, you know, everyone is just growing and changing and evolving, and we have this unprecedented opportunity where each of us can reach, like in the past when it was the newspapers, in like the 1900s, early 1900s, the newspapers would reach a couple thousand people, a couple hundred people. You and I are able to do that at a whim, and to not take that opportunity to be as genuine as possible and to be as community oriented and helpful as possible and real, to me is a massive disservice. But it's a challenge because we're all attached to these things, these egos, right? One of the things I wanted to bring up was, I have it written down, when I first married my wife, who I love so much, we got married, and our orientation is non-monogamous. We date. We actually haven't recently. In the last almost a year, we've just been in an awesome way. But we have that flexibility. One of my female friends had to tell me, "Hey, it's okay to really enjoy time with your wife alone." You know, that story got weird. I want to say what. we were talking about. Listen, we were talking about non-monogamy. And I was enjoying Sheba. I was talking about how great it was to not be, you know, but I was struggling with it, you know? So I'm trying to point to the idea of identity, right? I had an identity of myself as non-monogamous. And so to be in a space where I'm having an apparent monogamous relationship with my wife, it created a tension in me, and I was able to notice that. And I grew from walking through that and saying, don't identify with, like, you have to be fucking 3 women. Don't identify with that behavior as that is you. That is something that is available to you. That is something you have the privilege of like, you know, you can talk to your wife, and that's amazing.
Right.
But so then I was able to free myself. And so I'm trying to point to that and say that it's the same challenge with like rappers and like the younger rappers who are emulating a certain kind of way to be, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's about like non-monogamy is a pathway. It is not who you are.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're on a path, right? Like you are a person, you are a loving person, right? You are a conscious person, you are a blah, blah, blah. But like these other things and ways of being, it's like, yeah, at any point I may decide to stretch my wings in a different way, right?
Beautiful.
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think hip hop is, and especially the younger generation, you got to give it up to them because they're just like, I mean, people like Tyler the Creator, who people really hate it, like really hate it. Like old hip hop heads did not fuck with him, despite him being a good rapper. Yeah. I mean, I know he had this whole thing with Khaled and everything, and Khaled's a whole another story, but you know, Khaled saying like, oh, like this type of rap shouldn't be #1 and all this type of shit. So it's been expanding for some time. We're just now kind of getting the fruit from those seeds, you know, that were planted from the very beginning, right? You know, so yeah, it is an exciting time. I hope that more, like, I don't know if you saw what's his name? NLE Choppa. Yeah, people were talking about his song. He's got a song where he talk about like, basically like if he was a bad bitch, he'd want to fuck himself too. And everybody's calling him gay, or there's a group of people calling him gay. And then he's just like, this is not only, even if I was gay, like this is not, you guys are blowing this out of proportion. I'm getting a lot of love from queer people, and I'm talking about myself. Like this is about self-love. Like this is not like a coming out story. But people are having a hard time with him in a song imagining himself being a woman who's attracted to him. You know what I mean? Like it's a pretty, you should. Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good song, but it's just another indication, right, that things are starting to shift. Like, cause he was like, oh, like, you know, we can't say this is normal in hip hop. Like, you know what I mean? You can't say this one thing is hip hop. Right. And everything falls outside of it. Is like not worthy of being here. But yeah, just small things like that I think are gonna keep shifting things. And we'll see. I think in another 50 years, hip hop is gonna be very different. Yeah. I mean, just everything. Think about, we had motherfucking is the Zionists made a hip hop drill song. Who? Oh my God, Billy, I'm gonna have to send this to you. There are like Israeli Zionists, like some young Gen Z, I want to say maybe, who made like a #1 song in Israel that is a trap drill song. Really? Wow. Yes. And I'm just like, if that's not telling you the expansion of hip hop is no longer what we said it was. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I believe it. I mean, it's just the art of storytelling over wax. It was over beats will be, you know, that's gonna be here forever, and it's gonna manifest in all these different ways. It's so interesting. You know, obviously there's a whole right-wing rapper community of these rappers who are like Donald Trump guys. So you're telling me all the Zionists as well. Like, I believe it. Yeah. And I'm like, it's a fascinating experience, right? That like suddenly this is the music that you use to try to articulate yourself, you know? But it's funny because in both cases, I guess, I don't know about this drill song, but it sounds probably, if it's drill, it's probably a violent sort of, but it's also political, maybe. Yeah, you know? Very violent. Yeah. Yeah. Every time, like, people, I've been getting really good feedback on my songs, but I also get this note about the politics, man. People go, they compare me to these very interesting, talented dudes who I respect, but they're kind of like sometimes more obscure dudes. Like who? Oh man, who did I get? K Rhino. You ever heard of K Reno? No. I feel like, no, I wouldn't be able to tell you a song or anything like that, but I feel like the name sounds familiar. Yeah, I didn't know him until I googled them after. There were two others.
People might say my voice has like a Tyler feel that I've gotten actually, but then the politics, people go, oh, it's heavy, it's dense. There's this like, there's a reminder, there's a feeling that, and I don't think it's heavy or dense. It's not heavy or dense. That's bullshit. But it's just like, there's a sound that is associated with black men that, you know, again, the expectation is that I can have a bar to just like mock women. The expectation is to talk about how much money I have or talk about sort of material objects and things like this. And when you don't do that, when you veer from that, people, even grown adults, even people who are successful in their spheres of influence, you know, choose not to relate to that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Yes. Music is an interesting experience for me, as making it, listening to it, because I'm just like, there are times where I'm like, yeah, it's very clear that people are not gonna listen to what I'm saying unless it's like I'm sugarcoating it or I'm putting it on this like, you know, jumpy type of beat or whatever, or coded, you know. People, ooh, lots of people are still coming into their own their own beingness, and so much of it before that is depending on what other people like.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody fuck with you, as soon as somebody co-sign you, somebody, they're gonna be like, okay, like, oh, I've been rocking with Billy. Oh, I know exactly what
I knew this nigga was good. I knew he was gonna blow. I knew this nigga was gonna blow.
They're gonna be like, I know exactly what he's saying right now. Like, all right, yo, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's I try not to think of people like that all the time, but it's hard to, because I think it's just herd mentality, you know? Like I think we're just, as a society, still evolving from that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, fine, like we're gonna play into it then, because I need you to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. I'd say earlier on, I struggled with this like desire to see it, to see the response, right? But I'd say I'm feeling better and better every week at this, right? Where these symbols don't matter, man. These little likes and loves and comments, like, it don't matter. I really do respect and love the people who leave comments and who like the stuff, but I am not chasing that. I'm actually trying to tell a story, and I'm actually trying to, and I'm not going to be, you know, chasing certain symbols in an attempt to chase you. So like, again, I can do some gun bars in order to chase you down because you looking for gun bars. Look, man, I can do an interesting gun flip and really talk about Palestine. I can do an interesting thing about the bitches, but I'm really talking about, you know, the Democrats and Republicans. I can do something like that, and that's what I'm playing with, and that's the kind of space I want to kind of rock with. But to me, I love it because it brings it back to me, and it's about respect for what I want to do, and that's why I feel so strongly about respecting the artist. That's why I love your art, and that's why I want to respect J. Cole's art, and not just his skills as a rapper, which are dope, which we know, but the totality of the man. I love that he put us through the process of saying, yo, I was really driven by my friends gassing me up and saying I needed to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really need to do that. You know, I'm a human.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the apology is like the least of it's like at the bottom of the list of like things we could talk about in this, as far as it, like, nothing was wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool. It was what it was. You apologize, and we could always point out like, okay, well, you didn't apologize in no name, and that's important. You know what I mean? Because why did you feel like you could, like you had to, like it was just on your fucking spirit? You know what I mean? Like, so much so that you put your ego down. You put like this, like, I'm sure he had to know some fans were gonna be like, like this is fucking fuck J. Cole now, you know, like. You had to know there was gonna be some backlash on that. So
he has tremendous respect for Kendrick. He has respect for Kendrick. He said, "Put a chin out, you know, take your hit." He wouldn't, you know. No Name didn't get that same energy for sure.
Yeah. It's more just telling, you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, like is you giving out apologies. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know? But like I said, I also think that you and I, as artists right now, are in very different stratospheres than someone. Again, like I'm like your power is just so significant right now, and not only that, like you're receiving immense resources in response to your art. You know, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that at some point, whether you and I start to hate those stratospheres, the responsibility becomes different,
Right.
you know.
It does.
So yeah, so I appreciate him for apologizing
I
because
do.
I think in that stratosphere, no one does that.
Yes.
In these types of
It's a
environments, no
revolutionary
one does
act.
that.
Exactly, in a
It's a
way.
big deal, you know. Um, I would say it's a big deal, you know, but it's also like,
It's because
you know what I
let
mean?
me channel Sheba and say the bar is so low. You know what I
It's
mean?
so fucking. I'm like, do you apologize? Like, I'm almost more interested in like, do you show up and take accountability, like with your wife? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more concerned, like, do you do that, or did you also just give that a Kendrick? You know, like, those are the types of things where I'm like, this. And as far as the mic being hot in this way, what you said, okay, it's like a scale of 1 to 10, like what's about to change about life and hip hop and the culture, maybe like a three, maybe like a three, you know. But doing something like saying like, in addition, I want to say this line about trans people was really fucked up. Okay, now we're moving up the barometer of like what's really going on. Kendrick don't give a fuck,
Yeah, like
you
I've been
know.
saying, like the awareness, that awareness. I think the last generation of musical artists, black rapper musical artists, Jay-Z ushered in that hustler joint, and the black rapper billionaire. We now have several:
Yeah,
Jay-Z, Kanye, or
right.
whatever, and a few others. Um, so it's all about recognizing the power in the boardroom, but like recognize the power of your words generally, the power of your
Yeah,
presence in fullness, in totality. It's a scary thing. That's part of it too. It's a scary thing.
yeah,
We want to end
it
with
is.
this real quick, because I know you got but it's a scary
10 minutes,
thing
we're good.
to come into yourself and to say, oh, I actually have the power to label myself and set the standard for myself.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
don't
Like
have
I said,
to,
when the mic's hot.
yeah, I don't have to perform this other thing. Like, again, for my friend who have to tell me, yo, it's okay to be excited to be with your wife alone.
Hmm.
That's kind of embarrassing, real talk, for that I needed
Mm, mm.
that. I caught that in myself, and I said, wow. But it reminded me of when I grew up. The men would take pictures with their wives, yo, and we kind of like acted like we didn't want to be there, or the girl, or with their girlfriends. This is
Hmm.
not. I don't want to speak in a super broad brush, but I know that there's a ton of evidence of this, of like photos where the dude is just kind of like stoic and and the woman is like all over his arm. I grew
Yeah.
up in a thing where we don't we don't express that kind of joy.
Hmm.
um it's not masculine. Now
Yeah.
and if you own that, if you believe that, it's gonna make you act a certain way. But I found that I want to lean into my joy. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Hmm.
want to be attached to these kind of performances. For who? For who? Who am I
Right.
downplaying my excitement to be with around Sheba for? And
Right.
for what reason?
Right.
You know? So
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big deal. Like I said, it's this whole thing I think we've been chatting about is this perceptions that can cage you, you know,
correct.
and perception that can really free you.
Free you.
Um, yeah, and
Vulnerability.
I hope more people do it. Like, get to it, you know?
Vulnerability. Right?
Yeah, and that thing that you said, like about kind of catching the feeling, right? Like, I'm gonna catch it. I'm not gonna be like,
throw it away.
pissed at it.
Yeah, or
throw
pissed
it
at
away
it, exactly.
or pissed at it. You
Right.
know, like I know that I have a tendency with my partner, like I can get super defensive, you know, like if I think that or if she's telling me that I've hurt her, I'm so mad at myself that end up being more mad at her. Like, how the fuck does that make sense? You know what I mean? So it's like in those moments, I gotta do the work of like,
Maturity.
hold on, let me catch this. Yeah. And be like, actually, what I'm feeling is shame. You know, and you're not making me feel that way. It's the feeling that's coming up in this experience that we're having and sharing together.
Yes.
You know, and I think part of it is like just it's a maturity thing, like you said, but then like feelings come and go, you know, feelings are temporary. They're always gonna be fleeting. So
maturity, awareness of what feelings are, and like the power of language too, yo, because what you're saying there, to catch it and then give it the right story, right? It's not anger, it's shame. Something about your ego was bruised by a truth that your loved one gave you from a place of love. And so tell the full story. So that's why sometimes I feel like an old dude sometimes. I be trying to talk like some of the terms around like feeling some type of way, like as a phrase. I don't like that. I want us to like get in the practice of saying what are you feeling, because the other person does not know. They might go yeah. They don't know. You don't even know what you talking about. Say what you let's give language to it. So that's all key, and that's all part of maturity. Bro.
Yeah, using all the tools available to you, because even language, you know, which you are big on, right? Like communication. There are things that I say that are coming from this part of my brain and experiences that you have no idea.
None.
You know, and if I can't do the work of being like, let me explain this, or on her side too, of being like, I took this way, like let's figure it out because we're in this together. It's relationships are everything, man.
That's love, man.
It's where it all plays out.
Correct.
So I hope J. Cole, Kendrick, all of them figure it out. You know what
I
will. Mean? They get in a room.
We all gonna figure it out.
I want to have a conversation with them. Call a summit. I would love to call a summit with the big three. Let's have a conversation, yo.
That'd be dope. Father Venus, let's do that. I love that. You spoke that into it, and I see it happening. My man, I'm gonna let you go. I really appreciate you doing this call with me. A great
Billy,
hour.
It's always a pleasure. We gotta keep doing it. Once a month.
We will. So I'll let you rock out, man. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you very much, Billy. Peace out, y'all.
I'll see you soon.
Bye, Sheba.
Yeah. Okay, it's really not a controversy. Top dog since my mama burnt me. I'm up early, blessing this beat like Lord of Mercy. Story flip so perfect, you never heard of it. Artist, rapper, and journalist. Every verse is legit. No mercy, bitch, I posted it. This the dopest shit that I wrote to this. Y'all still chirping on some who's on first shit. Gun bars, money and murder flips. Now we off that, purging it. Clowns lurking, but I'm not concerned with it. I'm on the pot, you want some back burner shit. Off everything that's not serving us. Best version plus a whole herd of us. Bold maverick, in the game, pro action. Like it or not, bitch, I'm your co-captain. Won the race, now I'm slow lapping. Cut the whole check, no fractions. Wait the math out, math, and I slap fascists with the black side of my hand. Then I'm putting back down when the clown tried it again. Boom, how I stick and move out of a jam. Like the whole world inside of my hand, I'm really that dude. I paint strokes, don't plot canvas. I'm grateful when I step out on trust. The spot's granted. Years later, now the crop's planted. Life stress, still feeling depressed. The swap manic, Not new to this, they try to set my limits, I blew through the lid. I'm only testing myself, I'm not proving shit. Step in the booth and pop more heads off the sharpshooter hits. They bump my shit from Battery Park to Budapest. I'm everywhere, it's hard for you to miss. Take a good look, it's really our squad who the best. My broad thoughts spark tutelage. Philosophy buff, you never see me lost in the muck. I pop clutch, you can't count what it costed us. I run the rock and never cough it up. It's kinda obvious, you don't stand for shit, your posture sucks. I keep it a buck, your rap sheet doctored up. These bells ring cause my stock is up, never not enough. Feel it in your gut esophagus. Love a good slut that's hungry to make a cock erupt. What? My pen gold, already told you I've been grown. My quotes pile on by the end zone. I walk safe with insoles. I'm really 5'9", but I step in the room like 10-fold. Who you think E.T. phoned? I've been home. The boy got bars that's beat my ringtone. I shoot squares out the zone with brimstone. The best folks I know hit my phone for info. Whoa, it's all a dream, Nintendo. The game really work when you let go. It's fundamental. My crops grown off the seeds I've been sown. We double up whatever the Grinch stole. So, rock out, spread love, heal kids like Flintstones. It could all be so simple. We really out here, it's you that's central. Cause the truth is we linked in kinfolk.